About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go. Let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free.
Hello, good evening everybody, and welcome to this evening's live stream for Sociology. I am joined as ever by Katie in the middle there. Hi Katie.
Hiya!
And Craig over there on the right. Hi Craig.
Hi.
Hi. And we're doing education tonight, the Sociology of Education, covering various aspects of education. We're going to do one more of these next week, and then we're taking a bit of a break. So just along with the other things that we might do during this chat, if people could suggest what they might want next week, we may ignore it. We may do what we may suit ourselves. But if you want to put some suggestions for what you might like us to do a live stream on next week, we will certainly take it into account. So lots of people saying hello in the chat window, which is nice. Hello back. And
I want to know who Mr. Sociology
I know,
is.
which
You
one's Mr.
referencing
Sociology?
Duncan or Craig?
Yeah.
I think it might be me because Saint Brad has just become a follower of mine on Instagram. Like literally like 2 minutes ago.
Right. Okay.
There you go.
So thank you, Saint Brad. Welcome.
Is that your real name? We're never sure what's happening with the names. Okay. Right. Shall we get straight on with it? I think we're going straight to Mr. Sociology, Craig, for the first activity.
Mr. Sociology is my dad. Just call me Craig.
Which is the application gallery.
It is. Thank you, Duncan. Yeah, in the application gallery, what we do is we show you a number of pictures and we want you to identify concepts linked to that picture. So in the 3 pictures we're going to show you today, we're going to look for reasons for the differences in educational achievement of those groups. So if we look at our first picture, You could be confused. Well, you could look at a number of different kind of differences there. So you could look at ethnic differences. We're going there with girls. Why? Let's identify some of the reasons for girls' educational improvements, really, particularly over the last 35 or so years. How have girls, well, what are the reasons why girls have improved their achievement? I wouldn't say overachieved, I would say improved their achievement over the last 35 years. So let's start our clock. What are some of the reasons for girls' improvements in educational achievement?
Can I just double check that
internal and external?
Can I just double check we can all hear the music this week?
I can.
That's good to hear.
Okay, so Lorenzo's come through with role models. It's a good one. We could develop that a little bit more. Maybe talk about, is it internal role models you talk about, external role models? Evie's come through with the rise of feminism and one of Duncan's favourite studies, Sue Sharp. Increased coursework. Yeah, anonymous blog, well done. Increases in coursework.
Do you want to develop that one a bit more about the coursework?
Yeah,
oh, Alice.
Opportunities from Alice. What type of opportunities? St. Brad's gone with coursework as well. Some good answers so far.
That's a good answers there.
Okay, so there are some good answers, and particularly considering sort of like, the exams aren't for another 5 months, 6 months. So people are doing really well and sort of like bringing these in. Primary school teachers, role models, yeah, certainly. We would see sort of like more female role models in primary schools than we would see male role models in primary schools. As Lorenzo, Kabilash has said, Angela McRobbie, yeah, that's good. It's a good study to use. Certainly, Angela McRobbie's study. You might want to sort of like explain what McRobbie said, particularly linking into sort of like her research that she did. Ramona, feminization of education, changes in family life, increase in divorce rate, which provide role models. Okay, so we could use that either way, really. We could sort of like say that obviously girls have improved their achievements because mothers are more likely to be working in single parent families. And we can also talk about sort of like why boys are underachieving a little bit, but focusing specifically on girls here though. So there's some really good answers. Let's look at the ones that I've put. Not too dissimilar to what you've put in the comments. So really well done to those of you who've identified those. Rise of feminism, certainly over the last 35, 40 years, the rise of feminism has meant that girls have increased aspirations, which we link into, I think somebody, who was it who mentioned Sue Sharp? I can't remember who did mention it.
Can't remember it was
the name though.
Yeah.
Feminization of education, which can link into sort of like the introduction of GCSEs and coursework, and sort of like how coursework might benefit girls more than boys, and different educational policies. So we could look at things like the national curriculum, which meant that girls and boys were able to study the same subjects. And we can also look at things like GIST and WISE and how that has improved girls' achievements in science. Right, let's look at our next two. So we have 60 seconds now to identify two reasons here. We've done gender. We've certainly looked at girls. So we're going to look at ethnic differences in educational achievement. Why do some groups perform better than others based on their ethnic background? And we're going to look at social class. So even though it looks like a middle class kind of school there, I will accept kind of answers that talk about sort of like why working class students may underachieve as well. So again, 60 seconds. Let's highlight some of the reasons why there are differences in educational achievement by ethnicity and by social class.
I thought that was like a barbershop singing group at Disneyland.
But perhaps, yeah.
Might be a cultural capital issue there.
I was about.
You may have just, maybe.
You're exposing us.
Not quite sure the barbershop quartets in Disney look like that. Okay, so we've got speech code, Labyrinthine restricted code, so the ideas of Bernstein, which are working for the working class. Parental interest, a really good one. Beckett and labeling. Since elaborate restricted code again. Yep.
So
Lots of
which
people
of,
have gone with speaker codes.
I was going to say, which are you linking that to? Are you linking that to class,
Resources.
social class, I'd have thought? Have we
I
not had
would
many
certainly
for...
think social class. I mean, a lot of our data sort of like a lot of the data suggests that sort of like speakers of second languages actually outperform those who are native speakers in English, and with people. So, for example, who come into the UK and are in their first year of education,
Yeah.
but as they develop through the education system, they also develop English, and it doesn't actually have that much of an impact on
No, but it
their
could be an
results
issue
in the end.
specifically for new migrants and things like that, couldn't it, at the time?
Okay, so we've got quite a few coming through. We must have a slight delay here. So diet and health, can't afford nutritious food. Of course, yes, that is a good one, particularly for working class differences. Cultural differences and language barriers. Asian families are more collectivist and education orientated, leading to a greater emphasis on education. Fantastic. Intellectual development. Certainly, particularly if you link that into a couple of studies, there was one study that we were looking at. It was Diane Ray, who was talking about how working class and middle class mothers have different levels of, assist their children in terms of sort of like their intellectual development. The ethnocentric curriculum, that's another good one as well. Let's have a look at some of the responses I put.
So for ethnicity, first of all.
Yeah, so we've got parental backgrounds, which also links into some of the things that we've talked about there, sort of like with Asian families and particularly sort of like Chinese families, where you tend to have one child. I don't want to go into any stereotype, but then education becomes a project for the family, and therefore Chinese students tend to achieve because they are pushed all of the way in terms of their parents. Let's have a look. What are the cultural differences, and then that links into things like institutional racism and ethnocentrism in the curriculum, and the ethnocentric curriculum, of course. And then for our working class and middle class differences, well, material factors, I think somebody mentioned diet and nutrition, lack of resources, they would all be classed as material factors. A good tip when you're doing a social class essay is to make a comparison and contrast between the two, how one group might have those resources and another group will not. Cultural backgrounds, and particularly things like parental occupation. And then Duncan mentioned it slightly before when he was talking about barbershop quartets and Disney. Cultural capital, how different groups might have different levels of cultural capital. So some really good responses there.
Yeah, excellent.
And we'll pass over to, I believe, Katie for the next one, is it?
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna dust off them cobwebs, guys. That's what we're gonna do. So we're going back to probably very early on in the education unit, guys, and thinking about functionalism and Marxism. So it's a very simple task. You've got 60 seconds to sort the key concepts on the right-hand side as I'm looking at the screen into which you think are functionalist and Marxist concepts. So to keep it easy for you, just write the numbers. So you might want to put functionalist and then put the numbers for argument's sake, number 5 for argument's sake, and so on. So we've got, can't remember anything, but this is where you're supposed to be at. If you can't remember anything, it's a good refresher for you, okay? So we've got 60 seconds to sort these into the 2 columns. Are we ready? Are we steady? Are we ready, Duncan?
Yep, let's go for it.
Let's do it.
Oh, it's the very dramatic music.
It is.
I always think this, I know I say this every time, but it always reminds me of MasterChef. Like when they're plating up.
Plating up.
Get those souffles out of the oven.
Biscuit base.
Yeah.
Anonymous blob is already in.
Some answers coming in.
Yeah, some really good answers. Sort of checking them against. Same bread, Evie, Arnav, Lewis, Romana, Anonymous blob. I think most of these are right, I think. Coming thick and fast.
Very good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, fantastic. Little challenge for you, as we're going to look at some of this in a minute, but you might want to try and remember what sociologist said which. So I think most of you are right, so well done. I'm sort of trying to scan back and forth. Marxism, yeah, let's look at the others. I think most of you are right. Some of you haven't located, oh no, most of you located where 80s, so this is good. So let's look at the answers. So functionalism, meritocracy, role allocation, we've got bridge between homework and consensus, and obviously the other concepts on the other side. Which function are? I don't want to give you too many answers at the moment because some of them we're going to look at later in keywords. So I don't want to sort of over-egg it, but if we don't, remind me of that question.
Yeah,
and I'll give you the answer there.
I'll tell you what, I'll favourite it, and so if we forget,
so we know to come
later,
back. We'll come back.
Yeah.
But that might be your next one. So really impressive, considering you probably haven't looked at this for about a good year now. You're sort of coming back and looking at these concepts. So fantastic. We're off now to look at policies. Is that with you, Duncan?
It is, yeah. Let's have a look at some policies.
Exciting. We've been looking at policies today and marketisation
have
and all
you?
sorts. So, yeah, love it.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I sometimes like to look at policies and time, because we don't always say, oh, you need to know the dates and things. You don't need to know the exact dates. But it is useful to know where things come and to understand a kind of story, really. You know, partly because you might be asked about contemporary policies, and only a couple of these might count as that. But also, you know, if you know who was in government at the time when things were done, or what comes before which, it helps you a little bit about what the purpose of the policies are and what their intention was.
Well
so
done,
what
Grace.
we've got. Sorry.
I just say, well done, Grace.
All right. Have I missed that? Yeah, there we go. Well done. Yeah, very good. So we've got some dates down the left-hand side. They are significant dates because they are dates that some of these policies and acts and changes took place. And some of them are already coming in here. Well done. What we need to do, and we haven't got a clock on this one, so it's just a case of starting now, if you like, is to work out where you would place them on the timeline. So St. Bread has already come in and said the tripartite system, the Butler Act number 5, would be 1944. So the quickest way to do this would probably to do letter and number. So like Lewis has just done F6. There we go. So Lewis has just gone with that one. 5, 4, 2, 1, 3, 6. Oh no, I think that might be from another. Or is that the order? Or I don't know. Anyway, I'll worry about that in a second. So we've got A5. B4. It's looking good so far. C2. This is anonymous blob I'm looking at the moment. D1. E3. And F6. That's looking like a good set of answers there from anonymous. Well done. Okay, so some good answers coming through. Shall we have a look? Because I think we have had an absolutely correct response. So it's always nice to see that. There we go. Sometimes with the years of these things, because with T levels, for example, they were sort of brought in 2020, but with the first kind of officially happening was this year. They still haven't really kind of taken off to such an extent as perhaps they were originally intended to do, to sort of replace BTECs. They're still very much existing alongside as things stand. Other people coming through with some correct answers, so very well done. You hope we get a question on policies. I like policies. Not everyone likes policies, but I like policies. So well done. Some really good answers there. I'm going to hand over to, I think this is Katie, is it? With the 30-second challenge.
It is. And actually, Davison Moore isn't on one of our questions. So so you're all right there. So well done, Grace, for sharing the answer. Yeah, I also like policies. I think it sort of makes you feel like potentially there could be some change, maybe. Let's see. All right.
Interestingly, interestingly, I've noticed that Grace was answering some of the earlier questions. So when she said Davison Moore, it might be that she was answering an earlier question rather than answering him. But anyway, it was a happy coincidence if it was.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to look at Sociologists. So what we're going to do is some key concepts associated. We've got 30 seconds, but you guys are rolling it really well today, so it might take quicker than 30 seconds. So
not going to
need 30 seconds. We're not going to need 30 seconds, are we? So we're going to got some key concepts, and what you're going to do is think what Sociologist talks about it, and it's all there in your long-term memory. Correspondence principle, who talks about it?
done this with a 10-second challenge, couldn't we? Could have been
We could have done.
Could have done
We
the
could try
rocket
it.
one.
And I know we've got a bit of a delay, so that might allow
Yeah, it
for
might
it.
help. This might help actually.
L's in.
There you go.
Yeah, quite a few right answers coming in. Quite a few correct answers.
There we go. I think we're going to get some correct answers coming in. Yeah, it's bowls and ginties. Fantastic. So obviously, good to know what they talk about. Obviously, the idea that sort of the class is mirrored in the education system. So, Brendan, next one.
Nope.
Who talks about bridge between home and work? Thomas vlogs in. Let's see any more. Potentially examples of that. Jazz FC or Jeffs. Yeah, Parsons.
think
Yes,
it's-
definitely.
I think it's Jazz THFC. I think I think they're a Spurs fan.
I was thinking there was a football link there. Yeah, so it is
I
Parsons.
think so.
Well, we'll find out now if not.
Okay, and the last one, very quickly. Who talks about the ideological state apparatus? Oh, no, I've seen there. Speedy fingers, typing away. I'm laughing to myself because I've now got to pronounce, and I'm going to say with a bit of Essex twang, so you can probably say it correctly. So this is me. Yes, it is Louis Alpazet. How do you
That's
say
fine.
it, Duncan? Yeah, is it
Yeah,
good?
That
Is
was
that
that was absolutely fine.
We'll, Weber is Weber. Brilliant.
I was going to say we could try Craig out on some French names.
try
in a
Craig
minute.
out.
Althusser.
I believe it's
I
Craig
say
now with
Althusser.
evaluation. Oh yeah, that's it. You say Alf. So I imagine him to be a wizard for some reason, but this is just another story for another time. But yeah, I imagine him being a wizard. I don't imagine it. You know, like a sort of like long beard. I don't know. Anyhow,
Shall we hand over to
I
Craig?
would imagine it. Yeah, I would imagine at some point Althusser probably thought he was a wizard.
Probably.
Right. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to look at now is we're going to look at a bit of evaluation. Lots of students automatically think that evaluation is a criticism. What we tend to teach is there's an interesting comment there. What we tend to teach at Tutor to Use is what we call scale,
Oh no, we're being.
which is a strength,
Stand.
criticism, alternative, limitation, or evidence. Right, so we could find a strength of an argument, a criticism of an argument, an alternative viewpoint to that argument, a limitation, or some evidence. So we're going to look at a couple of statements students have made in an essay, and then we're going to evaluate. We're going to spin the wheel, and it's going to come up with a certain type of evaluation. So you might be a strength, it might be a criticism, an alternative, a limitation, or some evidence. So our statement is here. Boys often underachieve due to changes in the type of work that are available in contemporary Britain. Employment has become feminised. Let's spin the wheel and see whether we are going to find a strength in that argument, a criticism, an alternative, a limitation, or a piece of evidence to support or reject it. So who suggests? So we've got an evidence here. So if we look for evidence that supports or rejects this idea that the job market has become feminized, and this is one of the reasons why boys underachieve. So you might want to think about which sociologist talks about sort of like the impacts on masculinity of changes in the workplace.
Yeah, I was going to say, when we think about evidence, there's a few different types of evidence that could be. So it could be things like some statistics or whatever, but it also could be study, research, evidence.
It could be a piece of research, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, well done, Arnav. Well done. That's a really good one. Mac and Giles' Crisis of Masculinity. And if you reveal my answer,
I believe you said exactly the same. Well done.
it is exactly the same there. Supported by evidence from Mac and Gile, who suggests that Changes to employment are one part of a crisis of masculinity in society. So what you've got is the students made a statement and said, right, okay, the employment's become feminized, and they've backed it up. They've backed that up with some evidence that supports their claim. Let's look at another statement. Okay, so differences in social class achievement are a result of material factors that influence working class pupils' ability to achieve. So we mentioned some of these earlier on. We talked about lack of resources, diet, and nutrition. Let's spin the wheel and see how we might evaluate this idea. It's certainly true that differences in social class achievements are a result of material factors. But how could we criticize people who put forward that argument? What argument might we be doing? Differences in social class achievement are a result of material factors that influence working class pupils' ability to achieve. How might we criticise that argument?
Been quite a lot of it about this in the news actually this week, hasn't it? And last, the cost of living.
Yeah.
Certainly. Also been a lot about cuts to education as a result of inflation, and particularly cuts to arts subjects.
Yeah,
in
about that today.
Secondary schools.
When we're
Bit of a
thinking
difficult
about
one. How do we criticise something like the fact that material factors do influence working class people's ability to achieve? You might want to think maybe.
I was just going to say one way, but this isn't Craig's way, and Craig's way is better. But just one way that I'm surprised, I suppose, that some people haven't come out with is, which is what we'd normally have as alternatives rather than criticism. Yeah, there are, you could say, well, it's more done by other things, but there's something more you could do. You could be more explicit than that. We have some answers coming in now, though, haven't we?
Okay, so good. So we've got Gilberto Rodriguez, who sort of suggested that we could maybe criticise this by talking about policies like EMA and education maintenance allowance and education action zones that have looked to tackle this issue. That would be one way you can criticise that argument and suggest that even though there's been funding put in, the changes are still there. Arnav has got an interactionism and labelling. You could develop a point by saying that people might be labelled negatively because they don't have access to resources.
But I suppose also Arnav's going with an alternative. I guess he's also going as an alternative rather than it being because of material factors. Argument. It's because of labelling, and same with with our Spurs fan,
Jazz.
You could say it's to do with
cultural, not material,
cultural factors rather than material factors, and these are perfectly legitimate ways to go with it, aren't they? You could go.
You can certainly go with that, and you can talk about cultural factors, and that's kind of the way I've gone, but I've gone slightly differently. Let's have a look. I've suggested that some people will suggest that not all pupils on free school meals underachieve. Particularly if we look at Chinese and Indian students who are on free school meals, they exceed the national average for achievement at GCSE, even when they are on free school meals. So we could be arguing that actually, well, there are cultural factors that are at play, which is, I think, is the gist that Giles was giving us. There, so you could certainly use that and sort of suggest, well, not all pupils who are on free school meals underachieve, and so it could be other factors at play.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we hand over to Katie. I believe you're doing a connection spinner.
Yeah, I'm doing a little connection spinner here. So we're carrying on with the role and function of education, sort of that sort of theme I'm focusing on. I'm going to look at some different theories because the wheel's going to spin and it's going to have lots of different theories. We're going to ask Duncan to spin that wheel, and when it lands on a theory, I want to see what you can think of when you think of the role of education according to that theory. Are you ready, Duncan, to spin that wheel?
Here it goes.
Oh, there it goes. Where will it stop? Nobody knows. Ooh,
just to say,
feminism. Go for it, Doug. Go for it, Craig. Sorry.
I was going to say we do the live stream 6:30 every Wednesday. We only have 2 left in 2022. Gilberto Rodriguez has asked, but we'll be back after Christmas on Wednesday.
I think we've only got one more, haven't we? Is it just one more?
Oh, well, this one and one more, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the ultimate one.
So, yeah, when you think of the role of education according to feminists, what do you think of? What comes into your head? Just get typing. Come on, let's get some ideas down. What do functionists think the role of education might be?
We've already... Feminists.
Oh, sorry, did I say functionists? Feminists, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking
I was
at
about to start saying we've already had some of these. Then I
Did
thought,
they? Yeah, you said
I'm
that.
sure it was
No,
feminist.
no,
Yeah.
feminist. No, it is feminist. Sorry, my fault.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So on our topic of gender norms, exactly. Got transmitted patriarchal values. You could develop that potentially a little bit more on how. So many other things. That's the role of education. What it might. Anything else? Got some great ideas there. Yes, so the syllabus is male dominated. Again, you could give examples of that and how sort of gender norms, I suppose, and gender roles could be reinforced. So some excellent ideas there. So should we see some of the answers that I've got? Your answers are far better than mine. Yeah, it's reinforcing patriarchal teaching, which is obviously what Jazz has said. And then obviously talked about gender roles. So I think that's been covered. So well done. And obviously you can start applying names and studies to that as well to sort of develop your answer. So well done, guys. Okay, let's do this again. This is fun. So spin that wheel. Gender domains, well done. Where's it going to go? Nobody knows. Only the wheel knows. Just in there with new rights.
Oh, that's
Come on then, guys. Well, that's subjective. It depends if you are interested in new right ideologies. So, when you think of the role of education according to new right, what do you think? Apart from maybe a subjective term, which I won't come to nor Duncan or Craig for their answer. But what do they actually think is their role of education?
I think that's
from a new right perspective.
If we were on Michael McIntyre's The Wheel, that'd be the one you're not wanting it to land on, I think.
I always think, do they get a little bit sick when they're on that wheel?
I think they would.
Yeah. So to create
no,
independent words from the state. Excellent, nice answer. Excellent. Anything else? I suppose we've got pretty much, workers, independent from the state. Anything else? Anybody else want to contribute?
I guess some of the things the new right. I was just going to say, I guess some new right ideas would be similar to functionalist ones in a way, wouldn't they? That they'd want meritocracy and that sort of thing.
Spot on. And competition, I suppose, between students as well, so they can learn to be competitive in the real world. Qualified education for jobs from Kira there. Some really great answers. So well done, guys. Yeah, I've just got promote enterprise. I like that one. I haven't used the word enterprise for a long time. Yeah, self-reliant workers basically covers that, and obviously that competition promotes the job market. Like Duncan said, very much an overlap with functionalism as well. So mirror the workforce, but positively. Well done, Alice. So some great answers. I think we're with who are we with now?
It's me for the last activity. It's our
my favourite one. Yay!
The final activity.
We didn't have word smash last week, and the letters of complaint that came into Tutor to You was just unreal.
Yeah, so we've had to bring it back for this week. So I was focusing on educational policies this week. So this is some more policies here, but they're policies done through word smash. So just in case people haven't seen word smash before, the idea is, as you see on the screen there, you smash two words together. So in the example one, you've got an elephant, you've got a question or a clue that leads you to Antarctica, so you smash the two together to make Elephantarctica. Okay, it's probably easier to understand it with a real example, so let's have a look at our first one. So we've got a photograph of some fresh-faced young lads there on the left-hand side, and the Prime Minister at the time of the Education Reform Act. So you have to smash the two things together. If you recognise who they are, you smash it together.
I think this is my favourite one. I just imagine this person being just smashed with this. It just brings me joy. I feel their face.
Best not to imagine that. Actually.
Right.
Maybe put their face in the picture, smiling.
Any ideas? So you need to be able to recognise who they are, I suppose, or if you know the sociology question, which is always the important bit. If you know it, you could always type that, and that might help someone who knows who the band are but aren't sure who the Prime Minister was. You can help each other out. I've given away that it's a band now, but I suppose that's not giving too much away. It is a pop group. Of the sort of 90s? Yeah, they were
90s, early 90s.
But they have done stuff more recently.
Had a comeback.
Yeah, I was going to say, they've done stuff more recently.
Should we give a singing tune?
Oh, right, so Anonymous Blob has accurately got the proper bit of the question. Yeah, so any idea what might smash into that answer to get it Yeah, Gilberto. So lots of people have got the important. Lots of people have got the important bit. Which one are you going for?
You know, the one that goes, duh, duh, they're clapping their hands. I can't think.
Never forget.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
never
that's it.
forget
Well
what I'm coming from. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, everyone's got the right answer. The education format was 1988, which is helping people, but actually everyone's got the premises. So I was hoping someone would get that the group was Take That, so it became Take Thatcher. But let's see how you do on the next one. Okay, that's how the smashing together works. In case anyone was unsure. Okay, let's have a look. So we've got another pop singer here, and we've got the Education Secretary in 2010. Okay, so it's a well-known Education Secretary, person you might have learnt about in association with things like free schools, and policies in the coalition government.
Still quite a prominent politician.
Yeah, still a prominent politician today.
He's still involved, getting amongst it.
I mean, I suppose one little thing is just as a clue, with the last one, just to help with the word smashing, I only went with the surname, whereas this one, I'm using both names. Someone has correctly identified the politician. I'm using both their names here in order to link with the musician person. Oh no, don't know who these music people are. They are the less important part of the clue. Oh, yeah, we are.
Gilberto's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is George Michael, so it is together. It's George Michael Gove. Yeah, George Michael and Michael Gove becomes George Michael Gove. We've got one more of these. Money to support students staying in education after 16. Unfortunately, don't get any more because you have to stay to 18 anyway. But back in the prior to 2010, people
It was that transition, wasn't it, into it?
Yeah. People could get up to £30 a week. It was means tested for staying in education.
This is one of the first things that the coalition government
brought in.
The coalition got rid of. Okay. So someone has. People have recognised. People have got both sides of it. So few people have noticed what the money is, and one person, Kira, has got it, and Gilberto's got it, but to put it the other way around. You're basically there. Well done, everybody. I don't know how you actually pronounce this one. Sometimes it's hard to know how you pronounce it, but it is Eminema. Eminem, I think we'll call it. Okay, so it's Eminem with EMA becomes Eminem, something like that. Anyway, well done. Thank you very much for all your excellent answers there. Some really good answers, and also for indulging us at the end there with a bit of fun. Well done. There were some cracking answers there, weren't there, guys?
Perfect.
There were
very
really
impressive.
good answers.
Yeah, we haven't had many
really
suggestions for what you'd like us to do next week. Right at the start, we said if you wanted to post in the chat window what you'd like us to cover next week, we'd take your suggestions into account. When we sign off, eventually the live chat window eventually disappears. So it would probably, so that we can see it, it would be safer to type it in the kind of traditional comments bit of the YouTube video. So if you want to type it down there. So I've seen one suggestion of families and households, one there, and someone else suggesting beliefs. So yeah, we'll take all of this into account. Obviously, when we do the optional ones, there's a chance that some people don't do that option and therefore feel left out. But obviously, the vast majority of people did do families in first year, so we might do that. Media, you go see. Demography, media. Yeah, a few
demography in family. I mean, just to mention, sort of like that, we have over the last 2 or 3 years, we've done like 75 of these. Yeah. So if you go on to Choose to Use website, or you go on to the Choose to Use web channel, YouTube channel, there is a playlist there that sort of looks at all of the A-level live streams and revision blasts, they're originally called. If you go and look at those, then sort of like you will see sort of like that we've covered lots of different topics over the last 3 years.
Yeah,
if you want to
Yeah, the easiest way to find the replays is probably to go to tutordo.net/live, as you can see on the bottom of the screen there. And it has upcoming live streams if they've been scheduled yet. They come up a few days before they come on. But you can also, it has replays on it, and I believe it goes right back. So there are loads of them that you could potentially access there. But yeah, you could get them from our YouTube channel as well. If you have enjoyed this and found it useful, please do click the thumbs up if you haven't already, because it helps other people find it. And if you're not subscribed to the Tutor2 channel on YouTube, it's worth doing that, because then you find out about these in the future. Okay, well, thanks very much, Craig. Thanks very much, Katie. Thanks very much, all our very good live
Duncan.
audience, and hopefully see a lot of you again next week. Cheerio, guys.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Night-night.